Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I hope you're all fine and dandy. I was going to bring you some of the Legend of the Stars? Yes, Legend of the Stars. I've got to get that right. I've got it wrong, but just about every other time I've talked about it. Legend of the Stars tournament. But I reviewed the final match, and it was a bit of a letdown, to say the least. It just wasn't particularly competitive or exciting. And so I put a poll out a couple of days ago, something like that, and it was pretty resounding last time I looked at it. Victory for stick to the good stuff, don't waste time casting it if it's not going to work. And yeah, it was like a 2-to-1 margin. I might possibly do a little bit of a highlight breakdown at some point. I haven't decided yet, we'll see. But yeah, so instead I thought we'd go for some other 1v1 action, and I thought I'd pick a map that we've never seen before here on Guilecast. Very exciting stuff. Festea 7. First I misread it and thought it said Fiesta. I was going to regale you with my Lionel Richie impression, but you'll just have to imagine how amazing it is since there's no interesting segue into it. It's going to go down on Fiesta 7. I'm ready. You guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how they're going to get on. Chang. Ka-ching. Insta-loading. It's going to be a good day. We'll call this the red corner, since that's where he's starting. See, that's what happens when you do too many team games and forget that you cast ladder every now and again. Up here at the top right, in the red corner, we have none other than Electrician going Cybrin and opening first land, and his opponent down here at the bottom left in the blue corner, it's Space4Man. He has a Space4Man. Enough said about that, I think. And here he is going UEF, as we've said, opening first land. So it's the age-old struggle, and they're even wearing the right colors for the match. UEF versus Cybrin, good versus evil, individualist and self-respecting versus victim-loving wokatarian. That's enough of that. Anyway, so there we have it. Let's take a look up there. Glorious openings. They're having a right old chat down here. Good luck, have fun. You two, Australia. I'm guessing that means the game is lagging, or maybe they both are. That's probably what happened. So this probably went down late last night, something like that. But anyway, opening seems to be, as we said, one land factory apiece. We went 2 P-gens there for space, and then he got his ACU to get to work on the or 2 of the other 4 core mexes. Electrician did similar, but he's queued up an extra 4 P-gens after that with the comm. We're still waiting to see where the ACU is going to go. So he's going to pull, Space4Man's going to pull the ACU out of the main base area up towards the Hydro to assist that early engineer that's heading up that way. Who's working on the Hydro? Just a little engineer there for Electrician, all by his lonesome, but that'll be no real issue. So there we have it, pretty much standard openings as you would expect. The only variance is a couple of extra P-gens, which are being assisted by Electrician there on his comm, and Space4Man's playing it a little tighter. We'll have to build up maybe some extra P-gens later, which he might do on the download. There we go. So he's queuing them up next to the air factory, which he's plonking down there next to the Hydro for that good old adjacency bonus. Right, let's take this brief moment to check out the map, because it's a very, very different one. I actually really like it. It's got this interesting zigzag pattern from one base to the other, so major bottlenecks in through the central canyon, but you do have a couple of spots here and here where you've got a mechs, but you could get good approach shots with some ranged artillery. Actually, it looks like there might be a height map differential. Yes, there is. So that little nook there is higher up, and they can fire down into the canyon below. Trying to get a good angle on that, you can see it. So you can see there's a big old height differential. So yeah, interesting there. And aside from that, you've got these 2 little channels that hug these 2 canals at each corner of the screen there. There's a space if you wanted to get some navy in there. You'd want to, I guess, take this left-hand side channel if you were playing up here at the top, so that your vessels, I guess, would be closer to the base. Potentially a advantage this map if Space4Man wants to go that way, because he's UEF. He'll have those governor cruisers with that longer range reach with the missiles, so he'll want to make this a priority if he does go that way. Park some cruisers down here, but we shall see if that is somewhere he wants to go. Lots of reclaim on the field in that usual spiky, weird tree that's had a really bad day littered about these kinds of reddish Martian maps. And quite a few mass points dotted here and there in a kind of a scatter pattern. Few hydros dotted about as well. One just outside the front of the base, and then a couple at each end down there at the bottom and the top of the screen. You can see already pushing out to the west there, Space4Man, with an engineer grabbing some of those underwater mexes that follow up the channels, as is Electrician on the other side. Engineer doing that all by his Todd, but the first few inbound units now making their way through the zigzag from Electrician, and we've got 3 Mantis bearing down on a little old engineer who's just not going to get his job finished, I fear, barring the intervention of some inbound bomber from Space4Man that doesn't seem to have materialized. Nope. He does manage to finish the mechs, but the mechs might not be around for much longer either, as the Mantis park up for a moment and start wailing away on that. Engineer out to the top left, going for mexes down that channel as well, and Electrician advancing down the zigzag with his comm, as is Space4Man heading in the opposite direction, but he's going to intercept these Mantis that we saw just a moment ago from Electrician, try and head them off and prevent them from getting anywhere more sensitive, which he does. That's 4 kills there for the ACU. Gets his campaign started off towards first rank in vet. Still some ways to go there. You see that little yellow marker. If you're always unsure how to read these things, look down in the bottom left. If you're new to the game, you can see a veterancy little gauge with a tiny little yellow mark in it of 170 to 1000, and it's based on a point system. The more valuable unit that you kill, the quicker that will jump up, and once you get a rank in vet, you get a big old chunk of HP restored instantly, as if by magic. No real roleplay reason for it in game, but it is just the way it works. And of course you get extra regen going forward, which is always nice. Meanwhile, Electrician taking this chance to have a coffee and a ciggy break there, or perhaps an electronic ciggy. Always best to avoid naked flames around that highly flammable Martian vegetation. Never a good idea to stand too close to that. He's going to take this opportunity to throw down a couple of land factories. Interceptor numbers growing on both sides of the field. Looks relatively even air-wise. Lots of land factories going down at the top of the screen for Electrician. Where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 land factories so far, with another 5 queued up on the way. Lots of reclaim to be harvested first. And over here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 land factories. No more queued up for the time being. Looks like we're working on some transports though, probably to get some engineers to the far-flung reaches of the map. Cause some problems there, but Electrician working on his second factory up in the channel is interrupted rudely by Space4Man on a saunter, on a little country jaunt up through the middle. Is going to take his opportunity to try and batter down that first factory, and that is plummeting pretty quickly now. He's got the reclaim on it, and to boot he's got some T1 tank assistance as well, so that's going to hamper reinforcements at this point for Electrician. And a lot of his inbound tanks now focusing down on that second factory, so Space4Man will be saying thank you very much for the mass, sir. Much appreciated. Down that goes. Nice little early win there from Electrician. Let's take a look at who's doing better. Very similar on generated eco, jumping up and down from around the 43 apiece mark. And Electrician, having dropped back a bit with his comm, going to try and get a land factory just a little bit further back. We'll want to impede any forward progress from Space4Man, of course, is the extra hit point buffer on board that ACU, but it's nearly all depleted. He's about 600 hit points up on Electrician still after that first engage. Cheeky little run by down the left-hand side of the map, down that canal from Electrician. 4 or 5 Mantis nearly breaking in through the back door. Space4Man though, with scouts in the area and a large radar post in the main base.
Commander under attack.
Saw the attack coming. One lone Mantis over here trying desperately to finish off that Mex. He isn't going to make it as 2 more strikers turn up. An Electrician has managed to get 2 land factories up and running in the channel now. As Space4Man advances again, wanting to further deny any base building operations for his opponent in this area. He has, again, numerical advantage. Will he stick around to kill off these factories, though? He'll want to keep the spam away from Electrician's comm as much as possible. Try and park it on that side would be good. Oh, he's got a Lobo in the mix as well. Saw a big chunk of HP plummet off that lead factory. And there's the reclaim. Another factory down. Electrician just can't seem to get set up here in the first 10 minutes in this central channel. One lone engineer down at the bottom going to make a nuisance of himself. He's picked off that Mex and is currently working on a land factory. But what did I tell you? We've got a naval yard on this right-hand side working on its second submarine. There's already a Tiger Shark up at the middle. And it's actually going to be uncontested. So if he can get those units, park them up there, and transition to T2 Navy, that could be some problems for Electrician later on in the game. Sure, that's solid meta play on a map such as this. If you're going UEF, it's an advantage. Why wouldn't you take it? Well, I suppose if your opponent is brutalizing you on the ground and you simply can't spare the resources. A little bit pricey, but check out this counter push up on the left-hand side after that little attempted run-by from Electrician in the back door down here. Space4Man is responding and pushing up that left-hand side. There is, however, one PD lying in wait. The radar signature will make it look like there's 2, but that other one is just a simple decoy with a wall section in the middle. Clever, clever. Won't know about any of them until that Snoop gets in range. There we go. So first radar signatures up. He's not dissuaded, though. He's going to plow forwards. Hasn't got any Lobos. Oh, there is a Lobo or 2 straggling behind, and that will finish it off nicely. He's actually going to back away, anticipating the inevitable response. Electrician has transitioned to T2 land and has hoplite support, meanwhile coming in down through the central channel. And Space4Man, not liking his odds, has actually taken the opportunity to evac his commander and bring it back to the main base area. Transport complete. Another one under construction. We've also had a transition to T2 Tech there from Space, who's got the land HQ, and in fact all of the original 7 land factories have now been upgraded to T2. That's in stark contrast to the mostly T1 operation going on in the middle of Electrician's base. That's going to give him some pretty solid Tech 2 production power, so he might be losing ground at the moment, but assuming he's got the eco to keep up with it, there's going to be a whole bunch of Mongoose and Pillars inbound. Here we go. Rolling off towards the front line. So some ground gained, albeit temporarily, for Electrician. That little sneaky land factory we saw that engineer working on earlier is now bearing some fruit as some Mantis get in around the back, pick up an engineer kill, and now threaten another Mex. Inevitable move next is to push on over here, but there is a point defense waiting for them. Still very, very close in terms of generated eco. See if we can get a proper read. Ah, maybe it's not that close. So it's about 41 to 43. So it's changing all the time. It is pretty close between these two. About 2 mass per tick differential in favor of Space, who looks like he's just about to fend off this attack from Electrician. To his credit, though, Electrician has busted these 5 mexes that were under Space's control. And cheeky, look at that for a forward naval yard from Electrician. But there is another one in this canal as well for Spaceman, who's already got a Thunderhead out. Don't know if he's going to manage to take that down before that submarine finishes, though. Might be a bit of a tall order. Let's do some quick Tech 2 comparison on numbers now. So in this central area, we've got 13 hoplites inbound and 12 mongoose, but we've also got 14 pillars. And I didn't see any rhinos or Wagners turning up. No, so it literally is just hoplite play coming in from Electrician. He has upgraded another factory to T2, but he's still way off the pace. But he has got a steady stream of units inbound, so at the very least, on radar signatures, that will look intimidating to Spaceman. There's not a whole lot of scouting going on, really, from either team, or either player, excuse me. So the threat down here has been relatively neutralized. We've got the occasional mantis streaming out of this land factory down here. And one lone Thunderhead who is just slowly in the process of taking that land factory down. Nice combination, though. The tanky pillars out front, the longer ranged Gatling bots behind, lobbing in those rockets and those cyclical rate machine gun bursts into the pack of Cyberin troops. And Space4Man now feeling it's okay to bring out his comm once again. Now 3 land factories in the middle, and we've got some T2 presence as well as a T2 PD helping to anchor that, and now a big counter push down the left hand side, and this time there isn't really a home force lying in wait to cover this. We do have this point defense anchor here, but then it looks like the next production round is being dispatched to cover that. Medusa picks off an NG who stood too close to a Mex. Transport taking an engineer to the bottom corners now for Space4Man. Still very, very close in terms of eco. Bit of a point defense creep going on now from Electrician, who's got 3 Cyberin PDs down at Spaceman's end of the central channel, the valley. So it might be all well and good having that production power, but it's not immediately translated into forward momentum for Spaceman. I am literally just going to be calling him Spaceman now. The 4 is beginning to annoy me. I'm sure that's the only reason he put it there, to annoy casters. He knew he was going to be casted. So another naval yard now over here. Is Spaceman aware of it? No, he's not. He's missing a trick there. There's a submarine just up the way. That's why it never hurts to put a sub on patrol if you think they might potentially be going for a bit of naval production. T2 upgrade on the way for Spaceman now. Wants to outbase his Cyberin opponent. Never too difficult to do when you're UEF. 45% done on that upgrade, coming along nicely. A random hoplite down here and a radar station. So Electrician just being a little clever, harassing where he can. Managed to get one hoplite down there. I don't know how he managed it. Maybe it was down part of that force and it just moved off to the side while the rest of it got trampled by this T2 pressure that's now pushing northwards from Spaceman, who's taken out that Cyber naval yard at the top of the screen on that left-hand side. It's a big old mass field And you get the feeling now that Spaceman's completed the T2 upgrade, he should be able to push his way forward and potentially get his hands on most of that. There's a lot of Cerberus turrets, though, that he'll need to break first. Electrician, not wanting this position to fall, has brought his comm forwards. If you check the mini-map as well, that little side force from Spaceman still pushing up that left-hand side, but check this out. Despite the presence of Electrician, this forward position of his slowly getting overrun by mass mongoose. He's not advancing too far forward. The odd tank is falling into range of the T1 PDs, but the T2s are dispatched, and now we're getting a bit of counter point defense pushing from Spaceman. 3 triads online, number 4 underway, and all of the T2s for Electrician down and out as he starts a new one. That's going up pretty quick. Electrician also with the T2 engineering suite on board that commander now. Little group of pillars survive that encounter at the top of the screen and continue to push deeper into Electrician's territory. Side channel conflict underway, just about going Spaceman's way for the time being. Sub-production and sub-production only for the time being, surely the way of things. Electrician determined not to yield this ground, but it only seems to be going one way at this rate. Now the triads are soon going to be in range. That point defense creep continues. Mass mongoose, so effective. Playing it well with those pillars up front. A nice overcharge there from Electrician. Deals with a bunch of them. Spaceman beginning to run out of units, but the reinforcing units for Electrician are mostly T1. But he's transitioned to T3 and he's got a brick out just in time. What on earth happened there? A whole load of planes just tumbling out of the sky. That looked like an accidental Control K. Hero brick shows up in the nick of time. So checking in on the eco side of things. It's 54 to 56 in favor of Spaceman. The dial has hardly moved in any direction. If anything, there mass production seems to be going down. Electrician has out-ecoed in total over the course of this game. If you see the reclaim figures, it's 20k to Electrician and only 12k to Spaceman, so he's been much more efficient. However, all of this mass field seems to be going to Spaceman if this pressure continues. Every time Electrician gets a Cerberus turret up, it lasts for a few seconds and then gets taken down. Cannot contend with this mass T2 pressure. That is a big old mass field now that is behind Spaceman's front line. 22 minutes gone. So the left-hand canal goes to Spaceman. The right-hand canal, though, still up for grabs. Spaceman making gains in the central valley, pushing Electrician back. And once again, reinforcing land factories in the center. The staging point getting flattened by UEF advances. And now we're at that stage, it becomes increasingly difficult to hold this area as the triads are in range. 1 point defense goes up. Oh, and he's changed target. That's not ideal. Wants to finish off that first. There it goes. And soon to be a second triad online within range. Another contingent heading up the left-hand side of the map by the canal. Oh, check this out. Spaceman on the warpath over on the eastern edge. This is pretty sublime play here from Spaceman. These two guys very close in ladder ranking. 1736 for Spaceman, 1713 for Electrician. That's about as close as it comes. Now, where are we at Reclaim? See, the gap has closed significantly. It's 21 to 23. Still in favor of Electrician. It's a 2k gap instead of an 8k gap that it was just a moment ago, thanks to that mass field. But now we've got bricks on the front line. Electrician's got some firepower in his corner. And we've got an upgrade on the way for Spaceman for T3. 16% done. That is crawling. Absolutely power locked as his engineers rush to get that next fusion reactor online. There it goes. And that starts to climb at a better rate once more. And now we're getting some front lines getting drawn up for real now. Shields going up on both sides. Space4Man happy to have reclaimed that territory. That central mech's right in the middle of the map. He can deny with his point defense. It's in range. And that's where some of his eco has gone. Behold, I called it. T2 Naval Yard. What's it working on? Looks like it might be a governor under construction. Certainly doesn't need a destroyer. And that could be really difficult for Electrician if he has to start fending off cruise missile attacks coming in here. Lots of tactical missile defense is going to have to go up. That's a major wealth sink that he could do without. That's the view from Electrician. Suddenly it all goes rather quiet. Trebuchet and brick, and the trebuchet's being airdropped somewhere. Where is it off to? So he's bringing it to the shield. Hello, there's one there already by the looks of things. So I was talking about lobbing artillery in the other direction at the start of the map, but apparently it works pretty well going in the other way as well, and it's unfortunate that Spaceman has decided to land his planes there. He's losing an awful lot of them. T3RT is the best AA. Just in case you hadn't noticed all of your planes getting annihilated. There it is. Move command. But how long will he be laughing now that there's a cruiser inbound? T2 mechs is on the ridge. In danger. Won't take long to knock those down. You see that and your heart just sinks. You're like, no. Switching up and going after the T3 land headquarters. Potentially T2 power reactor, a more sensible strike first, since that'll take out a lot of engineers with the explosion, do some damage to the T3 land factory, although it's not actually right next to it. You can see there's no adjacency bonus connector. But they certainly could have killed off some of these engineers. As such, the engineers now get hurriedly to work on tactical missile defense. Kills some mass storage there, but didn't actually finish off the mechs over here. Bit of indecision, costing potential gains there. But now we've got bricks massing on this front line. We've got a trebuchet, which has redirected its fire now on that front line for Spaceman. And we're still not yet at T3, although we nearly are. 97% there for Spaceman, but he's got some catching up to do, that's for certain. So 117 there for Spaceman. Well, that must be reclaim related. That cannot be accurate. Cannot be suddenly that far ahead. I don't buy it. Well, it looks like it is. It looks like there is now a massive eco advantage for Spaceman next to Electrician. Electrician is putting out 60, 70 mass. Spaceman's on like 120. That is really, really bad news. And you can see he's starting to upgrade these other factories now to T3. He's going to have a stream of Percivals marching towards the front line soon, and that will become untenable for Electrician, who will now end up getting embroiled, I'm sure, in much needed missile defense networks up here just to keep the governor fire out, which is now streaming in from that eastern canal. 2 governors down here. He threw in a destroyer just for good measure. I'm not sure exactly what that's for, but might as well just stick with the governors. Another one inbound, another one in production. I would not like to trade places right now with Electrician. Although, having said that, if I traded places with Spaceman, I'm sure I could manage to throw it from here. Not being English or self-deprecating or anything like that. It's just a fact. Three, 4 trebuchets here now. And that shield about to buckle. Spaceman pulling his forces back. That front line might have to get overrun once again for Spaceman. Forward momentum for Electrician, but don't see that it's forward momentum that's going to be maintained. We are now, though, at critical zapper amounts. What is it? Critical levels. You know what I'm talking about. Critical mass of zappers. It's going to need a lot more governors now to penetrate that. And that forward position for Spaceman getting the full frontal treatment as the bricks move forward to finish it off. There's another nasty group of triads down here, remember, from that earlier point defense creep. And we now have 3 T3 factories working around the clock on Percivals. And Electrician still off the pace in terms of eco. Slowly starting to climb. Makes me wonder where he's getting it all. Just do a quick T2 mechs tally. 10 T2 mechs so far for Spaceman. And only 9 there for Electrician. So where is he? Has he got a T3 mechs or 2 lurking around? So there's some of the core mass at T3, 1 there. Where are we at? Looks like only 1. Is that the sheer differential? 1 T3 mechs? If I can actually click on it. No, so there's 2. And that is probably what's doing it. Trebuchets, providing the long-range firepower needed to dispatch those point defense batteries now in the bricks. to move forward without losing vast chunks of their hit points. Spam getting subjected to some of that artillery fire. It's a dilemma for Spaceman. Could do with something quick and painful to take those trebuchets out. It would give him a lot more movement versatility. And he's gone for T2 Navy over in the left-hand canal as well. And we've got a cruiser on this side now. Kind of see that range there, replicate it. It could reach in there, so it would definitely challenge these 3 T2 mexes, which is always something that he's not going to want. And of course the mechs over here and the hydro on that side. Sneaky attempt to move 3 bricks down that bank of that canal there from Electrician, but it's going to run into 5 Percys and a pillar, which is always going to go badly for the outnumbered bricks. But this is looking pretty dangerous now. Emerging from that central channel, Electrician surging forward. Spaceman's pulled his army down here to the south by this little group of T1 point defenses, which was covering this ramp here. Doesn't want to stand his trebuchet still with that inbound governor fire, though. Couple of governor missiles in there could cause some problems. Has he got enough to kill off these bricks? They're surging forwards. They're having a pop. Bricks in full retreat now. It looks impressive, but a lot of this is mongoose. We've got a couple of Percys here over on the left. But the numbers of the T2 units there for Spaceman starting to dwindle. But they do get in range of the trebuchets, and that's a mistake. All of that artillery down and out. But the Percys are going to have to back up. There is more inbound movement now from Electrician. Still, of course, this governor over here. Spaceman's actually moved his comm into that eastern canal. Electrician's pulled his comm back up here to build some zappers to defend against the governors on this canal, though. But he is going to lose those mexes on this side. Not sure at this point what Electrician's play is. He's still way behind. In fact, he's slipping further behind on eco now with the demise of the mexes on this side. Down goes another T2 mex. He cannot afford to keep losing these. But it's taking him a long time to get all of these zappers up, and he's got no way to hit back at these boats. He's got to find a way to deal some crippling killer blow on the main base or snipe the comm. I don't see that happening right now, to be honest. Space4Man playing this beautifully. I really like this map. Multifaceted, as they say. Still the Percys in retreat of an ever so slightly larger number of bricks. That perhaps won't be the case for very much longer. We're now up to 4 T3 land factories. Where is Electrician's commander? It's moving back to the base over here. He's thrown down a couple of zappers, and he's thrown up T2 mechs once again, but I don't think that's going to save it with the zappers being on the other side. Percival's breaching through the wall sections over here. Bricks moving to intercept, and of course, the more bricks diverted up to contend with attacks on this front. The less are moving in to reinforce that front line, pushing on Spaceman's main base. Spaceman happy to draw these units in. He's not throwing everything right now at trying to repel this. He's bringing some back from that edge. He's actually scored some victories over here, and these Percys having stopped for a moment and now advancing forward and potentially could make it into the main base here. Danger, Will Robinson, for Electrician now. He's got 3 bricks guarding the front door, another one coming out to reinforce. But there's still 2, 4, 6, 7 Percys, albeit some of them partially damaged. Don't know why he's not just sending them in. But the brick threat down here eliminated. We've got a little bit of a Medusa run-by that's causing problems for Spaceman in the backfield. But the main threat has gone, and to be honest, I think so is any chance now of Electrician pulling a win out of this one. Spaceman playing a blinding game, and there goes the GG and the Control K out from Electrician, who's curiously still alive. There he goes, along with all of his stuff. Beautiful, sublime play, though, from Space4Man. Took his time, didn't rush it, didn't surge and overwhelm his opponent. Kept him anchored down, grabbed the sides, out-ecoed him, just slowly crushed him. A respect play like that. That, and of course, doing the other thing that is almost guaranteed to get you casted. Pick up your comm, ladies and gentlemen, and throw him at your opponent's face, and then send me the replay. You are much more likely to get casted. Let's see some of that action coming my way, if you please. Replay submissions have dwindled as late. I put it down to, well, I don't know what to put it down to. New Year. Everyone's feeling depressed, and they can't even lift their fingers to, in this COVID myopia, to send replays my way. Give it a go, guys. You never know, you might get featured. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. There's always more to come from me in the future. Don't forget, if you want more content and you want it now, there's a new cast that went up last week on the Patreon. It's $1 a month. What is that? That's nothing. That's a candy bar, a chocolate bar for those of us in the UK. So why not give it a try? But until next time, guys, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.